Then Ronnie took over. 6 out of 7 legs. Ronnie dominant through 13 of 15. And then Taylor, 161. Once in my life, I'm gobsmacked. No adjectives.
Well, Taylor, terrific numbers, 105.5, but Baxter's pushed his up to nearly 100. That 161 has just blown Baxter away for me, because Ronnie was sat on double 18 to get it back to 8-7, Sid.
If Tennessee Williams met Shakespeare on a good night, couldn't have got the drama there was there. Taylor couldn't buy a 60 for 6 legs, then hit a vital one in that 161. Magic Stewart.
Well, we talk sometimes about blows to the solar plexus, but that was a knockout punch from Phil Taylor, who now needs just one more leg to take his place in the final against Colin Osborne. But Baxter, who was awful for the first half of the semi-final, deserves all the credit for getting himself back into it. And but for that 161, it surely would have been 8-7. Now Taylor needs one to win.
Well, Colin Osborne, slim as a whippet, rested, will be relishing what this is taken out of Taylor, if indeed Taylor gets to the final. He finds that spot which he was finding brilliantly in the opening 5 legs.
140.
Well, if you're Taylor's opponent and you've just stood behind him and watched him do that at this stage of a semi-final, you walk off the stage shaking your head in disbelief. Simple as that.
Absolutely. The psychological importance of that 161 to Taylor,
60.
incalculable. But 2 treble 20s here. Brilliant. Nice dart. Bangs it into the barrel.
100.
Only a ton. Only a ton. Methinks Taylor will get first pop at a double.
Well, Phil Taylor, just for 6 or 7 legs, proves certainly that he's mortal in 2009. We saw Mervyn King take him out in the Premier League semi-finals. Baxter must have believed that he could cause a huge upset until that 161. And here we are again, 1-6.
Shot, last leg. Surely he can't. This will be something like we've never seen. Bullseye! Surely not!
136.
Unlucky.
Well, he couldn't resist there, Taylor. He just couldn't resist. But Baxter knows his number's up.
Well, my heart
45.
rate is now 4 times my age, but I'm loving it. 2 8s to end a belter.
Game shot.
Taylor's done it! A fantastic semi-final, but the power is into the final of the UK Open to take on Colin Osborne. The power looking to win a 3rd UK Open crown. But credit to the Rocket, Baxter coming back from 6-0 down.
Amazing! Absolutely amazing! Taylor creaming it, 105 average for 6 legs. Then Ronnie came back. Then Taylor did a 161. Amazing, Stewart.
Well, Phil Taylor in yet another big final. Colin Osborne is in his first major final. 6-0 it was to Taylor. Let's go down and hear what he has to say, speaking to Rod Stubb.
Phil, congratulations on reaching the final. In the leg before the break there, you took out a 161 spectacularly. How important was that?
I think it was massive. I think it was a massive shot, that one. I think that won me the final, semi-final, sorry.
You went 6-0 up and it looked like being a breeze. What was in your mind when Ronnie pulled 6 legs out of 7 back to chuck the lead to just 1 leg?
I thought Ronnie was fantastic there. I got him, and he kept on and on and on, and I kept thinking, don't panic, you know, you're miles in front. And all of a sudden I thought we better start panicking because he came back and he was brilliant there, Ronnie was. Fair play to Ron.
I know you've got a lot of admiration for Colin Osborne. That won't stop you trying to beat him 11-0, obviously, but just sum up how good a player he is and why you admire him.
Why do I admire Colin?
Yeah.
Because he's kept in, he's been doing it all year, he's been keeping in there. I must have played Colin 10 times this year, and every time it's been a battle, every time. And whoever plays Colin, you're in for a game, you know what I mean? He's been brilliant, he's been dedicated, he's done the work, he's got off his backside, and that's what he's done, and he deserves to be in the final, Colin does today. No disrespect to Kevin, I thought Kevin deserved to be in the final as well, but I know Colin's won, and I think Colin deserves to be in the final.
Just finally, Phil, because there's not a very long gap in between the semi-final and the final, what will you do? Will you go back on the practice board or just put your feet up and have a little bit of a rest?
Collapse. No, I'm going back to the practice board now, put right what I've just gone wrong. I know, there's a couple of things I didn't do right there, and I've got to put that right now. Different game now.
Good luck, hope it's a great final.
Thank you.
He's got half an hour from now to get ready for that final, which we will of course bring you live from the Reebok Stadium. Confirmation then, the semi-final results. Colin Osborne through to the final with that 10-7 victory over Kevin Painter. And confirmation, despite that brave fight back from Ronnie Baxter, he is out, beaten 10-6 by Phil the Power Taylor. So the final of the 2009 Blue Square UK Open, Colin Osborne against Phil the Power Taylor. Rod, Ronnie Baxter's fight back, who's that benefited? Do you think Colin Osborne will have been smiling behind the scenes, seeing the Power put under a little bit of pressure?
Yeah, I mean, what it will prove to Colin is he knows what he's got to do. I mean, Ronnie for 5 or 6 legs there probably threw about 115 average himself. But that's what you've got to do if you're going to peg back Phil. But Ronnie is a player that plays the dartboard, so most dart players go in peaks and troughs. Phil Taylor does that at about 105. And what Ronnie did, he started off bad, but then he came into a good spell, but then he couldn't sustain that good spell, and that's when Phil kicked in again. And that happens to every player that Phil plays.
So the message to Colin Osborne is hit your A game from the off.
Absolutely, you've got to get out the gate quick, and you've got to, your heartbeat has got to be here. It can't peak and trough, because every time you trough, Phil Taylor wins them legs, and he's so good at it because his A game is right away across the board.
First time we've seen these two play each other in a major final. It's quite exciting when you see a new face in a final.
Yeah, and as Phil said, Colin deserves it. He's put a lot of hard work in the last 2 or 3 years. He's probably the most improved player over that period. And and he's done the hard work. He's really played well. And as I said before, when he beat Barneveld, that stepped him up the ladder a bit in confidence and self-belief. The one thing that Phil Taylor has over everybody is this absolute self-belief and his own ability. And I've never seen it too many times in any other sportsman. But that's what you've got to have, and that's what Colin Osborne's got to have for this final. Self-belief that he actually can beat Phil Taylor. Not just go up there because I'm in the final, get up there and win the final.
All right, Rob, we'll take a quick break. More on the build-up to the final that, very few expected. Colin Osborne in his first major televised final against Phil the Power Taylor.